All right. Hey, it's Austin here with Contractor Clarity. Today, we're just going to be breaking down exactly how much you should be spending on your marketing agency services as a roofing owner, just to make sure that you're not getting scammed, or maybe you're spending too little, which is typically just a waste of money because then you are probably not going to get the results that you're looking for. There's hard costs behind just about all of these things. And so, if you do want to see good results from these different marketing tactics, you have to be able to invest a certain amount. And so, let's just jump right in with the first one here, SEO. And these are in no particular order. Personally, SEO has been my go to for the past several years. It still works extremely well. And so, with SEO, you want to be spending a minimum of $1,500 a month with your agency. Obviously, there's no ad spend behind this, so this is usually a pretty flat cost monthly. We've all heard take 6 to 12 months to start getting consistent leads. You're going to want to be able to invest in it to a certain extent, even seeing a loss potentially in the first few months, especially if you've never done SEO before. Now, if you really want to get good results with SEO, you want to keep spending more. Upwards of 5+ K per month is usually really good. If you are a more established roofing business, you do want to keep going hard on SEO and keep getting more and more traction with that, because that alone can deliver hundreds of leads to your business every single month. Now, the one caveat with SEO too, with all the advancements in AI recently, is you're going to want to make sure that your agency is actually optimizing for AI search as well. Google has a new AI mode feature. We got ChatGPT. More and more people are going to AI to ask them, what are the top 10 roofers in my area, or who's the best roofer in my area. Like Contractor Clarity, this is a big piece of what we're doing. We're shifting everything towards optimizing for AI search, as that is going to be the future. Talk to your agency if they're doing SEO but not also optimizing your website for AI. They should definitely be doing that. You're going to want to have a good, strong Google business profile, at least 50 reviews. Typically, you're going to need a couple hundred in the roofing space. You want to have a good web design. I see all the time roofing companies want to have good SEO, but don't have a good design. And then you also need good branding. All right, let's jump into Google Ads. So Google Ads, this is mostly just referring to search ads where you appear at the top of the Google search results. With this, you are going to want to have a certain amount of ad spend budget. We typically recommend $3,000 minimum a month just for the ad spend. And then that's unlimited scale. So, you probably got roofing companies out here spending 50K, 100K a month on their ad spend. And then there's typically a management fee on top of that if you're doing an agency route. 20% is pretty typical. Just depends on how much you're spending usually. Other agencies will have more of a tiered pricing where it's like, okay, if you're spending between 3,000 and 10,000, this is how much we're going to charge you. If you go over 10,000 a month in ad spend, we're going to increase our management fee, which makes sense because with more ad budget, there's a lot more that you have to do. There's a lot more testing you can do. You're going to want to test different landing pages, test different offers, test different keywords, a lot of different things to test. It's just constant iterations, seeing what works best, and then pouring that budget into what's working. A lot of people think the ads are just kind of like one of those things where you just turn on and you start getting leads right away. It's not. People say people don't want to wait around 6 months for SEO, but also Google Ads, if you've never done it before, can take 3 to 6 months to actually start working and delivering consistent leads. It's by no means a silver bullet, and it is more expensive. So we typically reserve this for the more established roofing businesses that are already, doing consistent revenue. All right. So LSAs, Google LSAs are very powerful. Any roofing business really can do this. Really, the only threshold that you need to cross is having a certain amount of reviews, and your Google business profile needs to have a certain strength to it to effectively run LSAs. So this just gives you that Google guaranteed badge at the very top of search results. You only pay for the leads that come through, which typically costs around $40 to $150 plus per lead. Just depends on where you're located and how competitive your market is. When leads come through, you just dispute any of the bad ones, so you're not paying for leads that aren't actual leads. A lot of people get like people looking for jobs, spam calls, etc. Those aren't leads, and so you're not going to pay for those, luckily. And these actually can work pretty quickly once you get it verified and get them churning. I typically recommend newer businesses focus heavily on reviews, get your Google business profile strong enough to start running LSAs. All right, so meta ads typically recommend a budget of around $1,000 to $10,000 per month. And then working with an agency, there's going to be some ad management costs on top of that as well, similar to the Google ads, where you're looking at around 10 to 20% or more of a flat tiered pricing. Not quite as expensive as Google ads, but these are also very effective and done correctly. And so this really comes down to testing creatives, testing offers, testing ad copy, and then having some different conversion funnels beyond that, whether you're doing lead forms, sending them to a landing page. There's a lot of different ways that you can do these meta ads. They are a very strong way to get leads and be able to target your local market pretty effectively. So YouTube ads, these are good and they can be very effective just because there's not a lot of companies actually out here doing this. The reason why a lot of people don't do it is because you do need to have a pretty solid YouTube presence already where you're consistently publishing. And I recommend that for meta ads as well. Be consistently publishing on Facebook and Instagram before you start running ads. Be consistently publishing on YouTube before you start running ads. YouTube's owned by Google, so it's very similar to Google ads. It's just you're showing a video instead of appearing in search. And so it's a lot cheaper than Google ads. You're looking at about $1,000 to $5,000 a month in ad spend. You're gonna want to have good quality videos. That's another component of it where you might have to hire a videographer to get some very professional videography done for your ads. But definitely recommend working with an agency around this. Going to be about 10 to 20% of your ad spend costs. It's usually just rolled in with Google ads. And so if you're doing Google ads, you'll want to eventually start doing YouTube ads as well. All right, Nextdoor is good just because you can start running this at a very, very cheap budget in the hundreds, not even in the thousands of dollars per month. I recommend any newer business to start up on Nextdoor, and you can engage organically and you can run ads through this. You probably don't need an agency for this. You can, spend about an hour a week just posting and looking at replies, looking for people looking for roofers, and just kind of getting the name out there. What's nice about this is that this is hyper localized and you're dealing directly with homeowners on here. And so it's perfect for building that neighborhood level trust. You're paying for 1,000 views, and that's 1,000 views of people in your neighborhoods. And so it's pretty effective. It does not hurt to do, considering it is so cheap to run these. All right, so looking at organic, social, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, these are all building blocks, I'd say, of a marketing strategy. Again, I don't think you necessarily need to spend money on an agency to do this for you. Really, like, we're in the roofing space, you don't need to have the highest quality production content. Even if you just recording yourself on a roof, posting one to 3 times a week to get you started. It's all about building momentum early. So just get in the habit of posting consistently. Eventually, you can hire an in-house marketer to handle this for you, which I would recommend. It could take about 6 to 12 months to actually gain visibility. The main goal behind this isn't necessarily to directly generate leads like it is with ads. You want to be building up your presence, making people aware of you. And when people come to your social media channels, they see a legitimate business that they can trust. So you have a following, you're posting consistently, then this helps fuel the growth of your ads on these platforms. So start with organic social, just do it on your own. Once they're at a certain point, then you start running meta ads and YouTube ads, Google ads, etc. All right, so the last one on the list here is the lead aggregators. So Angie, Thumbtack, House, all of those. People don't love these, but if you're just starting off and you're really, really needing some early leads, I definitely recommend this just because you get reliable leads through these platforms. The one problem is that they're sending these same leads to other contractors. And so 5 other contractors are going to be competing on the same lead. They're going to be calling that homeowner and trying to book a free inspection. So this one's all about speed. If you get a lead, you want to hit them quick with a phone call, get them on the phone as fast as you can and get them booked in as fast as you can. Similar problem. They're probably going to have a few different roofing companies come out, inspect their home. At that point, it's pretty much just a race to the bottom. Whoever seemed to have the best service and gave them the best quote on the roof, they are going to want to go with. And so not ideal for scaling with this. You're going to be spending about $50 to $200 per lead. You don't need an agency for this. Just set it up and then the leads come in. All right. And there you have it. Those are 8 different marketing strategies that you can use. Some of them to get an agency for, some of them not to. And again, these are just focusing on online channels. And so if you might be door knocking, you might be, doing more in-person events. There's a lot of other ways that you can market your business. These are some of the most common online strategies that roofers are using to get good results. So it just depends on where you're at with revenue, what you can afford and what you should be doing. Again, if you're spending $500 a month on an SEO company, you're probably not going to see good results, and you're better off not investing in that and reallocating it into something like Google service ads, Nextdoor ads, and then some of these lead aggregators maybe. Generally, once you kind of hit a certain point, maybe 1 to 2 million, you're going to want to start really going in on SEO and meta ads, and then eventually scale up to the Google ads and the YouTube ads. And so that's kind of the cycle that you want to be able to follow. So thanks for watching. If you need a specific quote on any of these things, go ahead and contact Contractor Clarity. I'll have the link in the description. We primarily focus on SEO and ads for kind of like those higher level companies. And then we do also have some solutions for if you're just starting out and need some guidance on some of these other strategies down here. Check us out, and hope this was helpful for you. But thank you for watching and have a great day.